Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. Swan Queen and Fire Polishing Wu were on their high horse. Luo Fen frowned, but he understood why they were so overbearing. They didn't do anything wrong. The hierarchy was pretty strict in the army, and the gap between a law master soldier and a true god of void space commander was considerable. The commander could easily get away with killing a law master just because the law master offended him. I brought this upon myself, Luo Feng thought. After Luo Feng completed the sealing task, he had been automatically sealed, which was strictly confidential. Even the 4 leaders from Godly King Valley had only confirmed that Luo Feng had succeeded after seeing the sealing task disappear from the list. Apparently, they couldn't find any news that Luo Feng had been sealed. His Majesty the Godly King didn't want everyone to know about it. While Luo Feng was still in Godly King Valley, the general of the East Army, Harmonious Snow, asked, "Milky Way, you are sealed now. Do you want to publicize it? If you do so, all 4 armies will know about it, and everyone will venerate you." "No need." Luo Feng rejected the offer without a second thought. In Luo Feng's opinion, he was only a guest in the world of Jin, and he would leave this world silently without coming back. There was no need to inform all 4 armies about him being sealed. Besides, his enemies were those in Universe Ocean, whom he could easily deal with on his own. Thus, Swan Queen and Fire Polishing Wu had no idea who Luo Feng was. They had already been hostile toward him before coming here, and they were further upset by his attitude. "There is no need to talk with him," said Swan Queen, transmitting her voice. "He seems to be a creature from the outside world. If we hesitate, we might not be able to catch him. I'll perform illusions and lure him out. If he is not a life form from the outside but actually a life from our world of Jin, we only need to punish him for being disrespectful. But if he's a creature from the outside world, the consequences will be catastrophic." "Okay," Fire Polishing Wu said, transmitting his voice. "Do it, Swan Queen." The 2 commanders soon decided what to do. "Commanders," said Luo Feng. But as soon as he opened his mouth, invisible yet mighty godly power immediately surrounded Luo Feng, trying to drag him into an illusion. It was a top-tier skill of true gods of void space, so no matter how impressive Luo Feng was, he wasn't able to resist it. Fortunately, he held a different status in the world of Jin now. The strength of the world of Jin could be easily manipulated by Luo Feng. With control over this strength, he instantly sensed the godly power coming right at him. Luo Feng was shocked that the commanders had attacked him without any pretext. Luo Feng was infuriated. "Break," he yelled. The strength of the world of Jin around him trembled, annihilating the incoming godly power instantly. Luo Feng was furious that the 2 commanders had attacked him without warning. He had originally desired to talk with them in a calm and reasonable way, but now he aborted that plan. Instead, he waved his hands furiously. Suddenly, a giant palm formed entirely by the strength of a world appeared directly above the 2 true gods of void space. Grey air flowed around that palm, and the patterns were visible. Fire Polishing Wu and Swan Queen were dumbfounded at the sight. "How?" Just as the commanders attempted to dodge it, the giant palm slapped down. Fire Polishing Wu and Swan Queen felt like the entire world was pressing against them, rendering them defenseless. "He's only a law master. How?" The 2 true gods of void space were smashed into the ground, creating 2 holes. "Get out!" Luo Feng yelled. The 2 beings flew out from beneath the palm. Commander Swan Queen, who had been mesmerizing, now had her feathers ruffled. She was tied by the ropes formed by flowing air. Fire Polishing Wu was also in a sorry state, similarly tied up by ropes formed of air. The 2 of them felt utterly restrained. They couldn't even struggle. "How?" Commander Swan Queen and Fire Polishing Wu fell to the ground and shared a terrified glance. Luo Feng had been able to defeat them instantly. He must have been Luo Feng, an eternal true god, at least. Perhaps a top-tier eternal true god. That soldier Milky Way seems to be a law master, but can it be that he is actually an eternal true god? That's right. Only generals are able to tell a real eternal true God from others. A noble eternal true God is willing to disguise as a law master. He must be on to something. Chances are, he's a creature from the outer world. Swan Queen and Fire Polishing Wu concluded. There were only a certain number of eternal true gods in the world of Jinn. Even if someone had just become an eternal true god, they had to become so from a true god of void space. They, as commanders, should have known them. As for this soldier Milky Way, they didn't know who he was, yet he was able to defeat them instantly. Why are you here? Luo Feng looked at Swan Queen and Fire Polishing Wu coldly. And why did you attack me? Why did you try to kill me just because I wasn't respectful enough? When that blurry godly power rushed toward him, Luo Feng didn't know whether they wanted to attack him with illusions or annihilate his soul. He didn't want to gamble. Who are you? Swan Queen said. A law master can't be this powerful. Is there really a great being this powerful in Python River Army? I had no idea, said Fire Polishing Wu. They were both trying to stall time. As soon as they were defeated, they had sent a message to the general of the East Army, Harmonious Snow, at the same time. They thought that since they were in the East Army camp, and General Harmonious Snow was also in the camp, he could arrive here instantly. They only needed to stall for time until Harmonious Snow arrived. Then they could capture this spy. Huh! Luo Feng frowned, looking at the void space in the distance. Even though the two commanders were captured and thus, the void spaces were broken, Luo Feng still blocked the surroundings around them with his strength of a world so that the soldiers outside couldn't see anything happening inside. A door appeared in the void space, and a being flew inside. He wore silver armor and looked elegant. He had white skin, and he was flying toward the island. The aura of power around him was far stronger than that of the two commanders. Swan Queen and Fire Polishing Wu, who were tied up and kneeling on the ground, were exhilarated to see the general. General, they both yelled. General Harmonious Snow. Luo Feng turned around and smiled. Milky Way. Harmonious Snow smiled and landed. He saw the two commanders tied up on the ground and yelled, Swan Queen, Fire Polishing Wu, why are you here? Swan Queen and Fire Polishing Wu were stunned. They thought that General Harmonious Snow would surely fight this spy from the outside world once he arrived, but they seemed to talk with each other like friends. General Harmonious Snow, yelled Swan Queen. This soldier, Milky Way, might be a spy from the outside world. Be careful, General. Don't be fooled by him, said Fire Polishing Wu. He has the power of an eternal true God. No matter how good his story sounds, don't trust him. Please, we have to check on his past, from when his birth, to him becoming a law master, up until now. We can only identify him after that. Don't trust him so easily. General Harmonious Snow glanced at Swan Queen and Fire Polishing Wu, instantly shutting them up. I don't need you to tell me what to do, he said coldly. Do you think you're qualified to know who Lord Milky Way is? You have dared to cross Lord Milky Way. Let's just hope he doesn't kill you. Swan Queen and Fire Polishing Wu were baffled. Lord Milky Way? Of course, they immediately understood that Lord Milky Way held a high status and could kill them easily. However, they thought that generals were the noblest beings in the world of Jinn. What kind of being was so revered by the generals that they called him Lord? Suddenly, both Swan Queen and Fire Polishing Wu realized that they had encountered some fundamental secrets. This, Swan Queen and Fire Polishing were terrified. They could tell that General Harmonious Snow and Milky Way were chatting with each other, but they couldn't hear a word they said, which made them even more terrified. They were afraid that Lord Milky Way might kill them. Milky Way, said General Harmonious Snow. You should have listened to me and publicized your true identity. As a sealed great being, no one will dare to disrespect you. No need. Luo Feng shook his head. The world of Jin's godly king had high expectations for him, so he needed to be careful. What are you going to do with them? Asked General Harmonious Snow. To the world of Jin, two true gods of void space were nothing. Nobody could stop Luo Feng if he really wanted to kill them both. Ask them why they came after me first, said Luo Feng. Okay. Harmonious Snow nodded. He then transmitted his voice to the two commanders, who quickly explained how it had happened. General Harmonious Snow turned around and looked at Luo Feng. A Lawmaster soldier from In Swan Queen's army, Cheng Mu, said that you're a creature from the outside world. He went so far as to kill himself to prove it. General Harmonious Snow didn't suspect Luo Feng whatsoever. He knew that this soldier had been affirmed by His Majesty the Godly King after a string of procedures. The Godly King was certainly intelligent enough not to let a spy be an heir. Cheng Mu? Thought Luo Feng. Cheng Mu. Cheng Mu Master was a universe master from Purple Moon Holy Land. Purple Moon Holy Land must have thought that Luo Feng was a nobody in the world of Jin. They hadn't even changed their names. Beings from Purple Moon Holy Land? Luo Feng became aggressive. You want to kill me? Then I'll kill everyone from Purple Moon Holy Land in world of Jin. Purple Moon Holy Land had been treating him with such hostility time and again. Previously, they had intervened in the Primal Universe internal war, seeking to uproot and destroy the humans' foundation once and for all. And now, they wanted to destroy him in the world of Jin. Luckily I have received a title. If not, I would be caught unprepared. Being able to self-destruct to destroy my other bodies to ensure my survival is already more than what I can ask for. Luo Feng was a little intimidated during the aftermath of his situation. If he did not receive a title, there could be two possible outcomes. One was to be directly killed by Swan Queen, which would be a true death without any second chance for revival. The other outcome was that with his own willpower, he would have to grasp the few seconds he had to self-destruct before he fell into the illusion. If he could self-destruct, at least he could protect himself from death even if his two other bodies were destroyed. However, the treasures that he had brought along, such as Blood Ghost Blade and Boat of Mausoleum, would be gone, especially the Boat of Mausoleum, since there was a space of inheritance inside. Of course, only an heir would be able to enter the space of inheritance. The space of inheritance was under the control of his other energy body, so even if it was seized by his opponent, that other party would still be unable to enter. However, while the other party was denied entry, his own Earthling original body would also have no chance of entering. Only his other energy body could continue to remain within this space of inheritance. And this space of inheritance was lost on the outside. Harmonious Snow looked toward Luo Feng. Milky Way, those two commanders, Swan Queen and Fire Polishing Wu. How do you intend to deal with them? Swan Queen and Fire Polishing Wu? Luo Feng frowned. It was clear that he was feeling some anger. Harmonious Snow responded right away. The two of them were not aware of your true identity beforehand. They took you to be an ordinary warrior, which was why they were that. Milky Way, would you, slightly? Harmonious Snow, Luo Feng interrupted him. You may rest assured that I am not so extreme as to go after their lives. However, for pressing their luck and trying to go over my head, there is no way I can let them off easily. He nodded. The punishment for them is very simple. Luo Feng had gone through the punishment once, but what he said made Harmonious Snow blink in disbelief. It was almost unimaginable for someone like Milky Way, who was a godly king, to come up with such a handling method. Do you get it? Luo Feng asked. Fire Polishing Wu and Swan Queen were in a sorry state. They were both bound by ropes composed of condensed airflow, so there was no way they could move whatsoever. Both lay on the ground. On the surface, they were already a sorry sight, but in their hearts, they felt all the more anxious and flustered. The two could see Luo Feng and Harmonious Snow, who were not far away. Even if they could see the two in conversation, they could not hear a single word that was being discussed. Swan Queen, you really got me into deep trouble this time around, said Fire Polishing Wu, raging and furious. I am also in bitter trouble, too, said Swan Queen, also unable to hold back her emotions. How would I have known? From what I know, the four generals were the highest and most powerful of our world of Jin. Now, this Lord Milky Way has appeared out of nowhere. Our world of Jin is obviously not like what it appears to be the surface. It is much more mysterious. I just did not expect us to have to be the ones to chance upon this mysterious side. Fire Polishing Wu shook his head in agony. The Jin dynasty might have fallen, but out of those formidable great beings who had followed His Majesty the Godly King out to battle back then, there were quite a few who were much stronger than the 4 great generals. Perhaps this Milky Way was one of the super great beings who had followed His Majesty the Godly King out to war and managed to survive. Let's wait and pray we are spared. Fire Polishing Wu and Swan Queen lay down, feeling hopeful. At that moment, General Harmonious Snow approached them from afar. General! General! Both pairs of eyes lit up. They had been under his command for a long time, so they believed they should have a chance of surviving. General Harmonious Snow walked over. Looking at Fire Polishing Wu and Swan Queen, who were both lying on the floor, he said without further ado, "The 2 of you are lucky. Lord Milky Way does not want to take your lives." Swan Queen and Fire Polishing Wu let out sighs of relief. So long as they were spared, how good it would be to stay alive. If this had been a war with other powerful groups, losing their lives would not have been a big deal, but to die in their own territories would be a grievance too great to bear. Both of you might be exempt from the death penalty, but certainly not spared the rod. General Harmonious Snow looked them both in the eyes. You both have accumulated a tremendous amount of military credits over countless years and have quite a number of treasures in your possession. Now, you shall be stripped of all your military credits and treasures as a form of punishment. Ah! Both pairs of eyes widened in shock. Heavens! How could this be? This was simply... Did you not hear me? General Harmonious Snow frowned as he ordered, "Leave your treasures behind." Why aren't you both leaving? The ropes composed of condensed airflow on Fire Polishing Wu and Swan Queen automatically broke down and dispersed. If you are not going to leave your treasures and depart, does it mean you intend to give your lives instead? There was a hint of coldness in his eyes as General Harmonious Snow spoke. How different Milky Way's status was. He was an heir highly regarded by His Majesty the Godly King. For His Majesty, sacrificing a warrior was not a loss worth lamenting, but the situation would be different for an heir. 2 miserable true gods of void space, still hoping to bargain for more than their worth. Yes, yes, yes. Fire Polishing Wu said, first to respond. Thank you, Lord Milky Way, for your benevolence. Thank you, General, for your help. All of a sudden, a pile of treasures appeared beside him. Within an instant, all of Fire Polishing Wu's automaton-type treasures, soul treasures, armors, weapons, and all other materials appeared before them. He kept none at all. Even the so-called suit of armor on his body, which was, at that moment, merely godly power in its condensed form. Harmonious Snow looked at Swan Queen. Although she was most reluctant, Swan Queen was unwilling to die. I will leave mine, too. Within a short moment, Swan Queen and Fire Polishing Wu had left a pile of treasures. Then, now in a sorry state, they flew off. Their manner as they flew was no longer mighty, as it had been before. Swan Queen no longer left that compulsory streak of flowing, rainbow light she always had while flying. Instead, she flew off wordlessly in a most forlorn manner. No other warriors were around to witness such a scene. They are gone. General Harmonious Snow said. Luo Feng walked over and looked at all the treasures on the ground. He nodded and with a single wave, putting away everything before him. As for the military credits that they both accumulated, I will arrange for those to be transferred over to you. General Harmonious Snow lamented with a sigh. What a ruthless hand you dealt. For law masters and true gods, they are still able to earn military credits through the missions assigned by the army. But the moment they become true gods of void space, there are no such army missions anymore. If they want to earn military credits, it is incomparably difficult. Yet you took everything that they had painstakingly earned over the countless years away so swiftly and quickly. Luo Feng merely smiled. Of course, he knew. This was the reality in the world of Jin. Law masters and true gods were all assigned army missions, but to assign true gods of void space, who were commanders, with missions. For what? Could they possibly be assigned to kill other true gods of void space of the world of Jin? This was why they were not assigned any army missions unless there was some foolish true god of void space who dared to provoke the army. Then a few true gods of void space would be deployed to settle the situation. This was when a certain amount of military credits would be given out. But to provoke the army, how many of these true gods of void space would be foolish enough to dare to provoke the army? This was why, generally, the only way for true gods of void space to earn military credits was to command, lead, teach, and guide troops. Commanding itself was a contribution of service. Naturally, every different level of command would bestow these true gods of void space with different amounts of military credits. However, accumulating military credits in this way was far too slow. General Harmonious Snow left, too. Luo Feng headed toward the military point. Just as he entered the hall, the world suddenly changed. A figure accompanied by a beam of golden light appeared before Luo Feng, and most deferentially, he greeted, "My greetings to Lord Milky Way." Luo Feng smiled. Every warrior coming in here would have met this figure with golden light. In the past, this figure bathed in golden light was completely hard-hearted, yet now, it was incomparably reverent. There isn't a single warrior around. Luo Feng looked around. The surroundings were void of everything. Apparently, Luo Feng had been led to an isolated domain. Lord Milky Way, this is the ring of the military point. The figure bathed in golden light flipped his hand, and in the middle of his palm, an exquisite ring appeared. Lord Milky Way may make use of this ring of the military point to enter the world of military arms anytime you wish. So long as you are within the world of Jinn, you may enter the world of military arms. There is no need for you to personally come down here to the military point. Luo Feng's eyes lit up. The authority of Lord Milky Way begins the moment you receive this ring of the military point. The ring flew from the figure over to Luo Feng. With arm outstretched, Luo Feng received the ring. "I would like to look at information on all the warriors who are law masters and those who have joined the 4 major armies in the recent 3 eras," he said. "Also, would you be able to simulate the auras of these warriors?" "Of course," said the figure bathed in golden light. The life form's aura is indeed the most accurate identification method to determine their identity. "Of course, we can do a simulation. Lord Milky Way has enough authority for such a request." Suddenly, in the empty space beside him, figures started appearing one by one. All these were simulations of the warrior figures who had joined the 4 major armies over the recent 3 eras. At first glance, all of them made a mighty sight. "That's quite a big number," Luo Feng muttered to himself. Luckily, it is only 3 eras. Luo Feng was considered to be from one of the earliest batches. Since he had entered the world of Jinn, only slightly more than 2 eras had passed. Warriors sent by Purple Moon Holy Land could certainly still be found within this time span. "Let's begin." Luo Feng quickly started checking through. How fast could the speeds of conscious calculation and godly power response of a great being be? Merely a moment had passed. He had very quickly made his selection. A total of 96 from Purple Moon Holy Land joined the 4 major armies, Luo Feng said quietly. In fact, Purple Moon Holy Land had sent more than what he had calculated. However, to be accepted into the army, the Universe Masters needed to first join the selections. No matter how amply prepared Purple Moon Holy Land was, there was no way it could ensure a 100% entry rate. These 96 of them, Luo Feng contemplated. If I want to kill them all, I must do it in one swift move. I cannot afford to take my time. The moment they are alerted, they will escape very quickly. That's not right. Just as Luo Feng was deliberating on how he should kill these 96 Universe Masters from Purple Moon Holy Land, his expression registered a slight change. If I kill them all this time around, won't I be alerting Purple Moon Holy Land? Then, when the next era comes, will Purple Moon Holy Land still send Universe Masters in here? Primal Universe, Primal Secret Region, in the endless remote ocean. Teacher. Amidst the mighty waves, a lone figure appeared. It was none other than Luo Feng. "Luo Feng," said Primal Chaos City leader, looking at him. "You mentioned you have the authority to kill all the Universe Masters of Purple Moon Holy Land who are within the world of Jinn." "Aha!" Luo Feng nodded. The Wu Chi Tower mission. The deal between the godly king and himself. It was highly unlikely that Luo Feng would tell anyone else about these or several other factors. "This Purple Moon Holy Land has always pitted itself against us humans," Luo Feng said in a low voice. "If not for the fact that I am of a different status and authority level within the world of Jinn, I'm afraid I would nearly have been played nearly to death by them. This time, I must take my revenge well. Let them, Purple Moon Holy Land, be unable to regain their strength and vitality within the next few reincarnation eras. But I was thinking, the second era has yet to end. Only a part of it has passed, so I'm guessing they will likely send in another big group during the third era. Now that the third era is nearing, when the time is right, I will cast the net and wipe them out once and for all. Primal Chaos City leader's eyes lit up as he nodded repeatedly. Great. They used the first era to find out more about the place. The second era, they only sent in a portion of their universe masters. When the third era comes, they will send in another batch. By then, within our universe ocean, almost half of every group will be considered as having entered the world of Jinn. To make a move, we do indeed have to wait until the third era. Also, not only do we have to make a move against Purple Moon Holy Land, but we also need to make a move against the United Forces Alliance, which always seem to be fighting the Human Alliance. We may have the upper hand now, but to truly gain the absolute advantage, who knows how long that will take. Now that you are in the world of Jinn, let's finish off those in the world of Jinn with one blow. The power of the demons, the bug soldiers, the automaton race, and several other races will definitely weaken. Eventually, they will no longer have the ability to resist. Primal Chaos City leader's eyes were sparkling with madness and anticipation. That's right. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. Then we humans will have many more eras to develop ourselves. If the human team and the United Forces Alliance kept fighting each other, the humans wouldn't have any advantage for billions of eras. Which is why, Luo Feng, a great responsibility now falls on your shoulders, said Primal Chaos City leader, and this time, we have to make sure that we succeed in one shot. He nodded. The original universe period is the most important period for a race. After all, only the original universe can breed universe supreme masters. Once this universe era is over, no universe supreme masters can be born. Luo Feng was excited by what Primal Chaos City leader had just described. If they could succeed, the bug race, the automaton race, the demon race, the prison race, and the crystal race would have to give up lots of territories. Then the humans would become the #1 race in the original universe. At the Python River Army, in the East Army of the world of Jinn, Luo Feng left the military point and went back to his stone house. Military point ring. Luo Feng took out the delicate ring that had been bestowed to him at the military point. Start. Luo Feng infused his godly power. The surroundings in the stone house changed, and a vast world showed up. A golden being arrived. Lord Milky Way, said the golden being respectfully. I am here at your service, Lord Milky Way. You can contact the core of the world of Jinn. Lord Milky Way, I need to tell you first that I don't have any valuables, but this military point ring can form a military point world. I only have some information inheritance. If you want weapons or machine-type valuables, it will take some time for the valuables to be transported here through space transportation. Luo Feng nodded. Space transportation was akin to God country transportation. However, it was impossible to enter a God country while in the world of Jinn, so God country transportation was impossible. Let me check my military credits first, said Luo Feng. Lord Milky Way, your military points are 661,500, said the golden being. Also, you have high authority, so you can get the maximum military credits. For example, if you receive 100,000 military credits in exchange for a weapon, you can also get the weapon back for 100,000 military credits. Luo Feng smiled. Ordinarily, the military point was unfair in its rates. A weapon that granted the contributor 80,000 military credits might cost 120,000 military credits to buy back. However, Luo Feng held superior authority, so the military point wouldn't pocket the difference. As for the 6 million military credits, those were left by Swan Queen and Fire Polishing Wu. They're true gods of void space, and this is all they've got. Luo Feng shook his head. Let's see how much these valuables are worth. Luo Feng threw out a large number of valuables, armors, weapons, machine-type valuables, valuables used to recover godly power, and so on. They were all valuables left by Swan Queen and Fire Polishing Wu. The golden produced a trace of light that shone upon the weapons and armors. You can get 56,208,000 military credits in total, said the golden being. Oh. Luo Feng smiled. More than 50 million military credits. Just as I expected, those commanders exchanged their military credits for valuables. However, all they have combined is only slightly more than the value of Wu Qi God. Not impressive. Luo Feng's comment, which he utterly so haphazardly, would have infuriated any true god of void space. After all, only law masters and true gods could earn massive military credits. Once someone became a true god of void space, it would take them a long time to accumulate military credits. They could only gain military credits periodically as commanders. While they were still law masters or true gods, they could gain military credits quickly through catastrophe level or incarnation level tasks. Ordinary tasks only gave them valuables enough to recover their godly bodies. Swan Queen and Fire Polishing Wu had accumulated over 10 million military credits after all those tasks. They had become true gods of void space, and they had accumulated these military credits, subsequently exchanging them for valuables. Yet everything had been seized all at once. Lord Milky Way, said the golden being. With your authority, you can read all the information you want. As for valuables, you need military credits to get them. Luo Feng nodded. Give me the list. He had more than 60 million military credit. He could get lots of valuables. He immediately ordered many true god-level valuables. 20 true god-level palaces, 20 true god-level armors, 20 true god-level weapons, 20 true god-level domain-type valuables, 20 true god-level soul-type valuables. Wait. Luo Feng was irritated. Valuables? There were only a limited number of supreme true treasures in Universe Ocean. Was it because there were no supreme true treasures? No. Many great beings from the ancient civilization had died, and there were countless warriors in Universe Boat. That meant there should have been many valuables and weapons left by the deceased great beings. It was to be expected that over 1,000 supreme true treasures had made it out of the world of Jinn. However, there were always only a very limited number of valuables in Universe Ocean. Always a limited number? Luo Feng thought. Does the original mind keep it under control? If this is the case, the original mind might do something if I bring too many valuables back. Luo Feng then shook his head. Wait. This can't be the case. The original mind guided us to the world of Jinn. Apparently, it wanted us there. We are great beings from Universe Ocean, so naturally, we came here for the inheritance and the incredible valuables. Which means, the original mind wants us to get the inheritance and the valuables. Luo Feng was baffled. The original mind kept the balance before, so there were only a limited number of valuables and inheritance. Why? Why does it want us to be stronger? Is there a common enemy? Luo Feng wondered about this. After all, the original mind couldn't make any attacks on its own. Nobody had ever seen the original mind make any attacks personally. Apparently, the original mind followed a specific operation law. Luo Feng decided to only get 100 true god-level valuables. He was intimidated by the original mind, so he decided that he wouldn't give those valuables away easily. I'll keep some of them in storage, and I'll give some to the top beings in the human race, thought Luo Feng. Besides, I need to leave some for the Earthlings, and I also need to prepare a small number for my family. Not only was Luo Feng a member of the human race, but he was also the leader of the Earthlings, which was a more important role for him. With the potential the Earthlings had, it would easily account for 1/50th of the power of the human race. If Luo Feng helped them enough, it was likely that the Earthlings could count for 1/10, 1/8, or even 1/7 of the total power of the human race. Luo Feng was happy to see that. Of course, the Earthlings needed to fight for themselves, and every accomplishment they would achieve would depend on them. He could only give them opportunities and inheritances. It only took Luo Feng around 3 million military credits to get 100 true god valuables. As for the remaining military credits, he was in no rush to spend them. Luo Feng could sense that the original mind had deliberately guided them into world of Jinn, and if there was really a danger coming, He would get valuables based on how dangerous the situation would be. After all, he only had a certain amount of military credits, and once he used them all, he couldn't just threaten another true god of void space or ask the godly king for help. Milky Way Holy Land in the original universe. This Shi Wu Wing, remote ocean Luo Feng was sitting there, and the 10 wings were floating in front of him. Remote ocean Luo Feng infused his godly power into Shi Wu Wing, and he was studying carefully. Haha. I've finally understood it. The third level is indeed complicated. Normal great beings might only be able to utilize the third level after becoming true gods. Luo Feng sighed. Not every law master was as powerful as him. The third level of Shi Wu Wing. 2 traces of red light shot out of his eyes, shining upon the 10 wings. Drive. White mist permeated from the 10 pairs of wings and centered around remote ocean body and around the dimming black mist. An area of 120 square light-years was covered by the mist. The white mist permeated, blocking the area from the outer world. This is, remote ocean Luo Feng looked dazed. Is this one thought void space? Burn. Burn. Remote ocean Luo Feng was exhilarated. He tried to maximize the power. He kept burning godly power by using the second volume of Duan Mie so that the void space around Shi Wu Wing surged. Under Luo Feng's control, the area could be enlarged and narrowed. This is one thought void space. A simplified version of void space with a single thought. Luo Feng was overjoyed. Even though it was a simplified version, it was still much more powerful than a domain supreme true treasure, which made Luo Feng incomparably excited. A support-based valuable could be very helpful. After all, it was a new level of power added to his own power. Besides, domain-type valuables were better at group attacks. Golden Country was only slightly weaker than domain supreme true treasures. But the third level of Shi Wu Wing was much stronger than domain supreme true treasures. What name should I give it? Luo Feng wondered aloud. Just as Luo Feng was trying to comprehend the third level of Shi Wu Wing. On the shore of the vast lake of Python River Army Camp in the East Army of the World of Jin, 2 soldiers lay on the grass, looking frustrated. They stared at the sky without blinking. Where is Swan Queen? We can't find any trace of him. We've waited here for 6 days. It is said that Swan Queen always leaves a rainbow behind if she flies by. There's also no news that Milky Way has died. What should we do? Our ancestor is waiting for the news. This video will end here.